I'll be presenting to the Dean Rusk Middle School 8th grade science data team. It's June 2014 and I'm Catherine Holman. The purpose of our meeting will be to compare Dean Rusk County and state longitudinal data results with the CRCT for 2011, 12, 13, and 14. We'll break down the Dean Rusk 2014 8th grade science data and target specific domains within the test to look for possible strengths and weaknesses in student learning, and we will address concerns and formulate ideas to improve student achievement for the 8th grade science group. I'd like to start with a brief overview of the students we serve at Dean Rusk. Our population consists of both 7th and 8th grade students. As you can see, the population has steadily increased over the last 4 years. This past year, we topped out at around 891 students. 77% of our student body is white, 11% Hispanic, 8% are black, and the other 4% are made up of multiracial and Asian students. A breakdown in grades shows that we had 438 7th graders and 453 8th graders, very similar numbers. Breaking that down even further, we look at the gender and the grade. In our 7th grade, we had a slight number of more females in our population of 7th grade than we did males, but the opposite stood true for our 8th grade, where we had a larger number of male students than we did female students. Of our 891 student population, 25% of our students qualified and received free lunch. 1% received a reduced payment for their lunches. Our goals for the meeting today in our 8th grade science data team meeting will be to examine and compare the overall Dean Rusk test scores with the county and state results. I'd like for us to focus on the 8th grade science results in comparison with the county and state. Break down the 8th grade science results to find strengths and weaknesses in the data. And we will look for solutions to improve student achievement. Taking a global look at our overall 2014 test results and comparing them with the county and the state results, you can see that we did very well. In the areas of language arts, reading, and social studies, we exceeded the results compared to the county and the state. Also, our students scored 100% on achieving, that means meeting and exceeding, in the reading area. This definitely gives us reason to celebrate, since our students need to know how to read and comprehend to work on science. Areas of our school that we need to strengthen and grow in compared to the county and state are in the areas of math and science. In both of these subjects, we scored slightly lower than the county, but we're still higher than the state in these totals. The focus of our group today will be to look a bit deeper into the science data and find possible causes for lower test scores and to work on finding solutions for academic success in this area. Next, we see longitudinal data taken from 2011 through 2014 in science only. When we focus on the meets and exceeds results for the past 4 years, we can see that Dean Rusk has met the standards, and compared to the county, we fall a little short in the number of students who are exceeding in the standards. Let's hone in on the Dean Rusk science scores for the last 4 years. At the bottom of each column, the percent of students not meeting the standards is identified. 4 years ago, 22% of our 8th grade population did not meet the standard. Compare that to the next 3 years. It got a lot better the following year, 2012, but then in 2013, it crept back up a little bit to 17% not meeting the standard. This past year, 2014, we got a little better. We reduced that by 3%, but we are still at 14% of our students not meeting or exceeding the science standard. Here's where the rubber hits the road. We want to take this number and figure out what's going on with that 14% of our population. Are we not doing something that we need to do to help them? Or are our standards not being met because our curriculum might not be aligned with what we're teaching? We're going to look at this a little deeper. In the science test, there are 3 domains that this test is broken down into. We had 440 students that tested. The bar graph that I show you, the line graph, shows the number of students who were in each of the categories of did not meet, meet, or exceed. Let's take a look at these. We have structure of matter, force and motion, energy and its transformations. The line graph shows the number of students who answered in each of the categories. In the domain of structure and matter, 68 students did not meet the standards in this domain. 184 met and 188 exceeded. In the domain of force and motion, 44 students did not meet. 176 met and 220 exceeded. That's excellent. Finally, in the domain of energy and its transformations, it shows that we had 89 students who did not meet this standard. This is quite a number of students compared to the others who did not understand the concepts in this domain. 178 met and 173 exceeded. So what is all this telling us? Students seem to have a good working knowledge of force and motion. However, they do not have the same amount of knowledge with those concepts as in energy and its transformations. Using a pie graph, I've broken down the 3 domains into % of students answering incorrectly in each one of these areas or domains. There is a larger number in the area showing that students are not understanding energy and transformation, with 20% of our students not understanding those concepts. Breaking down the incorrect answers by exceptionalities, I thought that within these 3 domains that possibly we could examine these a little bit deeper to see what the student population was and who was not understanding these concepts, see if we can come up with a pattern of different subgroups and identify a target group that we might need to focus in on. In structure and matter, of the 68 students who answered incorrectly, 18 of these students have no exceptionalities. 29 are economically disadvantaged, 14 are students with disabilities, and 7 are economically disadvantaged and students with disabilities. Of the 44 students who answered incorrectly on the domain of force and motion, 12 of these have no exceptionalities, 6 were economically disadvantaged, 20 are students with disabilities, and 6 of those are both economically disadvantaged as well as students with disabilities. And finally, energy and its transformations domain showed that 89 students answered incorrectly, 28 no exceptionalities, 39 economically disadvantaged, 14 students with disabilities, and 8 of those 8 students were both economically disadvantaged as well as had some type of learning disability. By breaking down the data to show these different levels, we can see that there's a strong correlation between students who did not meet the standards and students that are economically disadvantaged. That subgroup certainly seemed to have a large portion of students not understanding concepts in both structure and matter, as well as energy and its transformations. Some good news. We are a strong and dedicated science department. The percent of students that did not meet was lower this year by 3% than it was last year, so we're showing improvement. Our students are good readers with strong comprehension skills, and these are needed to understand the curriculum and to read and comprehend in science. Questions I'd like for us to examine today as a data team. Is our curriculum aligned with the test standards? Are we allotting an appropriate amount of time in order to cover each of these domains? Or maybe are we giving one domain too much of that attention? Do we have adequate materials to teach the domains? What can we do to reach our economically disadvantaged students? Energy and its transformations had the lowest number of students who met or exceeded. What caused this, and how can we improve on this domain for next year? I'd like for you to reflect on these questions and be ready to discuss the answers in just a little while. Please make sure that you have your recorder for the data team. Take good notes. We want to be able to share our results with the other data teams in school, as well as give a copy of what we've done today to our lead principal.